In this video, we'll begin a series of tutorials on the various types of scaffold pages. In this instance, we'll go through the first scaffold option, the property version. Think of scaffolds as the foundational elements that power all of our digital products. Our property websites, market websites, brand sites, mobile apps, and digital signs. In the future, it could be used to power other digital products as well. So let's get started. You most likely will never need to open a new property scaffold, but if the core information contained in it changes, you may need to edit the already existing scaffold. In this instance, we're going to select Valleys, Las Vegas, and when opening the scaffold, this page will appear. This landing page shows a really nice snapshot of how all the information you're editing in the scaffold pages will look on the various places where it goes on the site. The list item, the detail pages, the map. You can also see it in the raw format if you want to look at the feeds. In this case, we're going to click Edit this item to see the editable information. The first thing I like to do in this editable section is minimize the sidekick so that it doesn't get in the way. Everything on the screen powers multiple areas on our websites, our digital signs, our mobile apps. It's the core information of the property you're editing. The name, the long name, in case of a longer instance like Real Las Vegas Resort and Casino. You can see that a lot of these fields have a description below it. So you can just literally walk through and see what each of them are. The property code, the market, the brand, the actual URL, the short description, which goes to a lot of different areas, and the regular description. On this screen, you'll be able to select property rank and market rank for where you want this property in the list of items on the property and market sites. There's a lot of information here. You can see that most of it's not required and isn't filled in. A good rule of thumb is that if you're not specifically sure that you need to enter something, if it's blank and not required, leave it alone. There's a lot of really important information in property details. You most likely will never be touching this section. The property URLs, the address, the states, and zip codes, those aren't going to change. The property latitudes and longitudes aren't going to change either. You may need to change the property phone number for a reason, or the check-in and check-out times. But other than that, there's really not a lot of information you will be touching in here. The terms and conditions, these go to the booking engine and important terms pages on our websites. So it's really important not to touch those unless you've got specific instructions from legal. Unfortunately, like in the case of amenities, there are some legacy tabs that have carried over even though they're no longer in use. You will find most properties do not have any. You won't need to add them. They don't go anywhere. Facts is another section that you probably won't be touching very often. These are some core facts about the properties. They are core information that isn't most likely to change unless there's a new restaurant added, a new show, or new nightclub, lounge, or bar. Social accounts, these are most likely never to change. They are really important. They power a lot of different things, so don't touch this section unless something has actually changed in one of our social accounts. Outage config is really only for very specific things. The properties most likely will never need to touch this. Thumbnail image goes to a lot of different sections on the website. It's really important to have the right size image. The right size image details can be found in the description of this video. Featured image doesn't power anywhere. Property images also go to a lot of different sections, so it's important to have these property images. You can actually add multiple images to this section. As you see in this case, there's about 7. You can add as many as you want. Art thematic images is another carryover legacy item that isn't used anywhere. HR portrait image and HR portrait secondary are from an innovation test that was discontinued, so these are no longer in use. HR landscape image is, however, in use. These power the directionals that currently live in the link. HR landscape secondary are secondary images that go to the directionals as well. So if you have additional items to show there, this one has 2, you can put them in secondary. Logo is also used. You may not be able to see it in here because it's a transparent PNG with a white logo, but it's there. So don't touch it and certainly don't clear it. HR logo is not used. Map is used. You most likely will never need to edit this. They're all already entered. The favicon most likely will already be in there. So it's important not to touch this section as well. To recap, the main sections you will be editing inside of property will be general, property details. Sometimes you might need to edit in facts. Thumbnail, property images, and if you'd like your property to display on the directionals, HR landscape, HR secondary. And that's it. Once you've submitted your changes, do not activate. Go to the workflow, choose property activation and approval, and click Start Workflow. This will send your edits to the content team for approval. For our next video on event scaffolds, click here.